So hello guys, today I'm going to discuss the different costumes in Philippines. But yesterday we discussed the different dances in the Philippines and its hidden meaning. But today we're going to discuss the different costumes in Philippines. So first, we have the baro at barot saya or baro at saya. The baro at saya was largely worn by Filipino women in the 18th and 19th century and is made out of fine cloth or piña, also known as pineapple fiber, which is a pineapple. So, here's the history of the baro at saya. When Blackmore visited the Philippines in 1936, she purchased this red baro at saya or blouse and skirt, which is in the first photo of the slide. This one, the red colored cloth. And by the early 20th century, it became a symbol of traditional Filipino dress and only worn for special occasion. So, ito, mauna ni ang the barot sayang Spanish colonial era. And next, we have the barong Tagalog, which is really familiar to us. So, by men, which is worn by men always in special occasions. So, the barong Tagalogs ever present magnificent that is inherently Filipino, diba? So, barong Tagalog is really Filipino made and worn up this on very important celebration and formal gatherings like wedding or sa government is they wear this on big meetings. And next is barong Tagalog or root word baro or pertaining to upper garment literally means Tagalog outfit, the barong Tagalog. And it was coined during the early Spanish and colonial period to distinguish it as a native attire Filipino in contrast to European style three-piece suit, diba? This is really familiar to us, especially men. And next we have evolution in fashion throughout the centuries brought upon various modification of barong Tagalog and even grow in popularity nowadays on women as an alternative to elaborate four-piece tragedy mestiza, also known the Maria Clara, which is our next slide. So, tragedy mestiza. Typically, it is made of sheer lightweight woven fabric made out of either piña or juicy. This is the same to the baro at saya, pineapple fiber. And in the early 1900s, the Philippines was acquired by the Americans from the Spaniards. And from the Spanish colony, we move into the American colonial era, which is from 1902 to 1946. And this gave way to the Americana in the Philippines, where Hollywood movies, musical magazines were introduced. And by having a Hollywood inspiration, a stunning Filipino costume was called the tragedy mestiza. So that was the history of tragedy mestiza. That was because of the American and Spanish period. So next, we have the balintawak. It was worn during picnics and other jaunts to take a short trip for pleasure or to take a journey into the countryside. And the balintawak is traditional Filipino costume that a shirt and skirt with puffy butterfly short sleeves, plaid textile and low-cut bodies, and at times plenty of ornate embroidery. And balintawak definition is a native dress of Filipino women consisting of dress and skirt woven local with kerchief and apron match. So as you can see in the first photo of the slide, this is the early era of the Philippines, the balintawak. And in the second, ito na yung modernity of the balintawak Philippine costume. So next, we have the terno. The terno is a national dress of the Philippines, which is commonly the same or almost the same sa tragedy mestiza, was a precursor to terno imposed by Spanish dress code that consisted of full skirt and bell-shaped sleeves. So, They have this bell sleeve, no, as you can see in the first photo of the slide. So during the American occupation in 1900s to 1920s, the sleeves were flattened and became the butterfly sleeve. So as you can see, this is what I'm talking about. The second photo in the slide, they have this. They have changed the design of the sleeve to this terno Philippine costume. So the terno as we know today, it evolved from an ensemble called barot saya, diba? Or blouse and skirt. Okay, so next we have the camisa or camisa de chino, which is influenced by Chinese colonial era. So the camisa de chino or camisa is collarless shirt with 2 or 3 buttons in the opening at the front of the neck and sleeves without cuffs dito. You can see it here sa photo of this in the slide, and it is attributed to the Chinese sailors, traders and laborers in Philippines, di ba? So ganon nga to. So the camisa de chino is the collarless shirt with a 2 or 3 button front opening of cuffless sleeves attributed to Chinese laborers in and around the Philippines during and before the colonial times. So they were often made of cotton and other fabrics appropriate of wearing against bare skins. Diba? This is really common in Philippines today. Sometimes it is worn by farmers, and if you have seen a Chinese movie, farmers in the movie wear a camisa, which is symbolizes labor. And next, we have the kimona. Kimona is kind of loose native blouse. If you're observing the photo, the kimona is in the first layer of the dress. The dress alone. That is the kimona. Short and loose women's blouse with extended sleeves worn on top of along saya. That's what it means. And next, and now we're going to talk next the parang skirt sa kimona, which is the alampay. Alampay, modern Filipiniana dress, shawl. Yeah, shawl. This is the shawl in the photo, and this and shawl, traditional Filipino shawl worn by women on the shoulder. Yes, on the shoulder. That is the alampay alone, and the internal design is only a blouse, and they were squared shape and were folded into a triangle when worn. And alampay is a Filipino lace-like embroidered neck scarf or shawl worn around the shoulders over the camisa blouse. So that's it. And next we have the serpentina. So I've searched this on internet. Serpentina is really expensive Filipiniana dress. The original embroidered by Filipiniana dress in beaded mestiza serpentina piña gown Philippine national costume. It's around 47K, as you can see in the slide. Diba? For a dress, 47K, imagine. And a skirt with a straight silhouette from the waist to around the knees, and where it was cut into a serpentine or snake line pattern, and to which a broad semicircular button panel of the same material on bias was attached. So that's it. The serpentina dress. It looks so fantastic and beautiful. And next, we have the Ilocano peasant costume. So I've searched this on the internet, and it doesn't show what is this dress, meaning all of it. So I've searched it one by one. So first, for the woman in the left side, we have the top or the baro or laos blouse, 3/4 with little design or no design on edges, white cotton or abaca. As you can see, this is abaca wearing the woman. And next, we have the skirt or saya, pleated tall skirt, ankle length, choice or plain strip or floral design in any color combination. As you can see, she wrapped it on her waist to almost reaching the foot. And for this man beside her is tapis called dark rectangular cotton wrapped around the waist and um, gathered on the left side, reaching below or above the knee. See, it's basically it's just a cover to the private part of the men. And next, we have the tausug costume, our second to the last costume in Philippines. So, the tausug men wears tight fitting pants and shirt, a sash around the waist, and a matching turban. Their clothes are made of cotton which they weave locally. So, in my elementary days, I've experienced this and wear their tausug costume and it really looks good, diba? They have these fitting pants for the men, and oftentimes men shave their heads or cut their hair short of signify their social status. That's really a cultural belief, diba? So the women wear matching sarong of the Malay type. They have this cover their head with the malong and a long sleeve, and they wrap it with cloth in their waist. And next we have the Subanon costume, our last Philippine costume. So the traditional costume worn by the Subanon men consisted of upper and lower garments with headdress and other accessories. And the tight-fitting garment that was generally black made up the men's upper garment called sub. So it's basically almost the same sa tausug costume, only their pants. But the Subanon costumes is they have their open yung kanilang sleeves, long almost 3/4 of their almost 3/4 lagi. So that was the Subanon costume. And now that was the last, and I hope you learned something in this video, and see you on the next vid, and thank you for listening.